When we start the meeting,
5 o'clock. Let's go to the 18th on Wednesday.
are you good with that?
Can we just do it after the police union at 7?
Well, sure.
Just go, just say.
I'd rather just move one
immediately
night.
after.
Okay.
Okay.
16th. After negotiations.
You don't specify time, just say immediately.
Very good. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mission.
30 seconds to spare.
It's gonna give me time to step out for a second.
Oh, wait. Starting without you.
That's okay. Can I have one?
Hey, John. Hey, John. Living the dream.
See you next time.
And there's our dreams too, Warren.
We'll try and get through it quick.
Well, otherwise, I'm just saying if there's priorities or whatever, I can, I didn't see a whole lot, but
I've never used letter P yet.
So wouldn't you just give me a faulty blinker ticket and?
It wasn't faulty, you failed.
No, it was out.
I would
And then
have
I just
had you test it.
Then
when
you
I
just
stopped
give
you.
me a fix-it ticket, right?
I would have had you check it, turn it on, and walk up to you.
So it was not connecting all the time.
It was a non-control, just actually know the check, so we're okay with that. 'Cause I like you.
Oh, you don't.
You all think I don't like you, but I love you all the same.
Which
Well,
means.
now it's the same.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're still my favorite.
It's on camera, you know.
It's okay.
So now you can ride your go-kart.
Not that much.
No, I have it on camera.
When did you get that through public safety? No?
Let's call this meeting to order. Go to the board. Trustees, start out with the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Trustee Clark.
Here.
Trustee Renner. Here. Attorney Schober. Here. Elizabeth Lysick here. Clerk Ford.
Here.
Trustee Goodman. Trustee Con. Here. Trustee Long. Here. Trustee Hudson is excused. Move on to item 2, public comments. Any public comments? Please state your name, address, and be trying to keep it to about 2 minutes. If there are no public comments, we'll move along. Item 3A, fire department report. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. All right. So, for the month of July, we were a little more on the busy side. 12 EMS calls, 4 fire calls, 1 mutual aid call, and 2 motor vehicle accidents. Our loads testing was completed back on July 17th. We had 4 5-inch lengths that had failed the test. So those were our older pieces of hose that we had on 11 on the tender. not on our mainline engines, so we'll be looking to replace those in the near future. Rumble went well for us. We staffed the engine, grass rig, ambulance, and tender. Did not have any incidents on the track, though there was one little minor thing where we had to use a fire extinguisher, but it was all taken care of. So everything at the Rumble for us went rather well. However, we did have 3 medical issues that we had to address, along with handing out a few Band-Aids here and there and a couple of cold packs. We had our public fireworks shoot, which went off with no problems. That was on July 14th. We had, I want to say, just about a half a dozen people that had showed up for that on that Wednesday night. Our CPR refreshers for our membership has been completed. We finished that last night. Everyone has been recertified over the next 2 years. So the fire department will be with the police department next week, Thursday, for National Night Out. So we're looking forward to that. I know it sounds like Flight for Life is going to be there. We will be there with Smokehouse for the kids as well. And then please mark your calendars for July 15th of 2022 at AJ's Bar in Muskego. We are going to be going ahead and having our ice fishing jamboree this upcoming January.
January.
I'm sorry, January.
Might not be a lot of ice there for you.
You could
No,
try and
but January 15th of 2022. It's gonna, yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's the first event really for us since COVID started, so we're looking to get back on track in 2022 with all our fundraising again. So, does anyone have any questions for us? All right, thank you.
Have a good night. Item 3B, library monthly report.
Jamie, if you send that to the library, I can put it on your Facebook. I mentioned to Jamie, I can put it, Jamboree on our Facebook. Our library Facebook's actually being looked at. I was pretty impressed. As I heard about it from people that came to the tractor pull, and the Rumble was amazing. I wanted to congratulate the celebrations committee. I helped at the ticket booth, and it really made a difference that there was a lot of police and fire presence there, because at the ticket booth, people were looking at them. It was real nice and calm. It was a really nice night. But back to the library, July is our busiest month. We've had, I think I counted 13 programs. We normally have about 4 or 5. We've had a lot of patrons come through and more books than anything else. We're giving out prizes now. The prizes this year were all donated to us, either by our library system or a librarian donated $100. And my certification is complete now for 5 more years. I can serve as your librarian. I don't know what else to tell you other than I've got all the statistics on here about our programs. Our digital library use, I'm starting to look at year statistics, is up about 30%. We're close to it, which means we have a lot more people on their Kindles and devices, which you kind of expect. The state library group is trying to get some state funding for digital use. That's not going very well because it's hard to get money, taxpayer money from internet use, but they're working on it. So maybe in the future, that will help our funding. And I did get our funding numbers. The money that's coming into us should meet our expenses for next year, which is really nice. It's unusual. And what else to tell you? If you have any questions, let me know.
How did your show at the Stapletons go?
Oh, that was awesome. The room was filled because we spaced people apart, but there were 66 guests and mixture families. A lot of elderly people came, and 2 elderly couples. This was real sweet. They came up and they said, you know, we haven't gone anywhere for a year. This was amazing. This was a really nice night out, and their music was good. I thought, I like folk music. So, yeah, it was great. Thank you for the Lions Club, too.
Thanks, Charlie. Item 3C, Police Department monthly report.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Chief.
Our reports are in front of you there. 2 thefts, 1 motor vehicle theft, which was a motorcycle, 1 assault, 2 drug-related offenses, 1 disorderly conduct, and 1 lewd and lascivious, 4 adult arrests, 67 traffic stops, 51 traffic citations, 5 non-traffic citations, 1 parking citation, 270 total calls for service, 43 house and business checks, 6 accidents, 6 EMS response calls with the fire department. The narratives are the next couple pages there for you, if you want to read them. Have any questions on those while I'm talking, go just shout them out. National Night Out is Thursday, August 12th, from 5 to 8 p.m. in the Village Park. In partnership with obviously the fire department. Eric has graciously offered to help us with the tents and everything. Just checking. Looks like this. You may have given me a hard time about it once or twice already this week. Assist other agencies, 4 hours and 26 minutes for the courts. 97 initial appearances for Big Bend, Village of Waukesha, 3. And the state debt collection numbers are on the last page here at the bottom, and the totals are at the very bottom. Rumble by the River was an excellent event, in my opinion. It was no doubt the biggest, but also the most peaceful one in the 7 years that I've been here. There was lots of drunk people, but I'll have to say, every drunk person was a happy drunk. It was absolutely amazing.
Except for the ones that fell.
Well, they
weren't so happy after they fell?
They were happy right until they left the grounds and fell down. But that's okay, that happens. So congratulations to Celebrations, they did a great job, and look forward to next year. Questions, comments, gripes, complaints?
Nope.
All right,
Thanks, Chief.
make sure you signal your turns.
I don't know why.
Item 3D, President's Report. No report tonight. 3E, Public Works.
Good evening. I'd like to start off with thanking all the people in here that helped us with the Rumble. Police Department, Fire Department. We stuck the Fire Department in a different place. It was not to, it was to make their access, egress and egress out of here a lot easier. I will tell you it was the biggest we've had. I will also tell you that we grossed $220,000. 20,000 out of 21,000 of that came out of, or had to go back to the raffle. But the gross number is not what the net number is. So if you're in business, as the gross grows, so does your net doesn't always grow. But there, we had some big bills. We had plenty of bleachers this year. We set some things up differently. But as the chief said, it was a good event. I think that the weather was in our favor. The only downside to that was we lost about $3,900 in cable that was cut. So we decided they needed our power cable more than we did. And after I got off the phone today with the electric supplier, I wasn't too happy. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna be working with Carmen from Cotney, and we're gonna look at putting up some cameras back there that'll be driven by wireless communication. I think it's something that Celebrations will pop for, and I think it'll be something that's good, because what we lost there is gonna be a hard nut for us to swallow on that deal.
Hey, say, can I ask, what's going on with your big advertising sign?
No, you may not ask that, that's not on the agenda.
That's part of his report. You brought up Celebration, buddy.
That's not a good subject right now. So I did talk to our police chief, asked him to do some background on this company stuff, and I think maybe tomorrow we might be able to get to talk about that. But
So we may be getting our attorneys involved.
that's a very good possibility, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
The cable that was cut is not reimbursed by insurance.
I just got the numbers today. I was waiting for the guy, I didn't know that one of the guys was on vacation, but they took one of our giant power cables that runs from the power box to the tent, and they cut that. The big issue I have is that they got into the box, they turned the power off, because it was powering up the beer coolers. Then they cut it, then they went back and turned the power on. So we had significant amount of live power on the ground. That had we had some kid come back there or something like that, it could have been a disaster. But I don't want to talk to the chief about it, but it's to the point where we'll find him. Somebody will talk. But in the meantime, right now, it's a huge thing for us. I mean, I know they stripped all of our wire for all the speakers. We had bought special speaker wire, and then they went and stripped all the wire out of the tower and all over to one of the tents.
Was that Saturday night, then, I assume?
No, that was on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday night. So. We didn't have any barrels this month, which I'm kinda happy for. We have 5 monument stickies, I sold 3 plots. I don't know if you've been down there, but we did the sand bin that we had from the DPW, we moved it inside. And if you've seen anything with our governor, it seems like everybody that passes away gets the flag lowered. I think this kind of takes away from what it symbolizes to have that flag lowered. It's just my opinion, but it's been enough. I mean, I've probably done it this year so far. We're on order 148. That's a lot, the smallest I've ever had. Did the rumble setup and takedown. I'm not gonna go into all that. We set barricades. We moved this library signs out here. We had our first year for year taken all over on wood. That was picked up. Second time we mowed the right of ways, cut some brush up on Skyline, replaced some signs. I did the, as you all should know, I'm registered to the DNR as the collector for the village. And I had to fill out all of our waste report, which is pretty much it's not a real long report, but it's very extensive as far as what you have to have. We installed the police department national night out signs at their request. Met with the contractor and the developer on Douglas Court regarding the stormwater retention pond. That is going fairly well right now. Hope we can get that wrapped up. We have an encroachment issue on Guthrie School Road with the development in the village of Vernon right now. That's with the planner and both of our engineers. We cut the grass that we had because it's pretty much of a drought. And if you've noticed around town, we've been putting up the new street signs. Hopefully we have that knocked out before the end of September. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Number 3F, report from professional services.
No report.
Outstanding. On to item 4, consideration and approval of minutes.
Motion to dispense with reading.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approval of bills, discussion, consideration, and approval of bills in the amount of $87,633.92.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills at that amount.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, presentation by and discussion of Waukesha Center for Growth.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. We have a little presentation for everyone, so you can follow along with me. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry. So my name is Judy Taylor. I'm the Executive Director for Waukesha Center for Growth. We are here tonight to say thank you. You've been a partner of ours for over 5 years. We do the economic development for the county. I work directly with Kelly on all different aspects of business and community development and things like that. So just to walk through a little bit about who we are and what we do. I won't take up too much time tonight, but we started in 2016 at the Center for Growth. Our mission is to connect businesses with the resources that they need. In Waukesha County, I'll talk a little bit about those resources and exactly what we do. We are a 501c3 corporation, so we're a nonprofit for the county, and the county contracts us to do all the economic development work. So we just try and help businesses and communities thrive is basically our mission and goal. Page 4, we are sister companies with the Business Alliance, which is the chamber for the county. So the Waukesha County Business Alliance is our sister company, but we are two separate companies. They're the chamber, they're a membership-based company. We are not membership-based. We work with our partners in municipalities as well as all of the businesses on more of a project-based needs. So think of project-based for economic development needs, that's what we work with. The chamber works with all businesses and always programming and things like that. A lot of people get us confused, so I always want to make sure that that's a part of our presentation. If we look at page 5, just a real quick synopsis of Waukesha County. We're the third largest county in the state. We've got over 500 square miles with 37 municipalities. We have a very strong and growing population. So 12,000 employers here with over 245,000 employees. So we have a lot of great businesses and a great workforce here in the county. So we're really well positioned as a county and recovering from COVID. Next page, if you look at Waukesha County today, one of our greatest strengths is our manufacturing. We are the largest manufacturing county in the state, and we are the leading state for manufacturing per capita in the country. So we always rival Indiana with those two being the largest manufacturers, but per capita we are beating them at this point. So within 50 miles, we've got the biggest manufacturing hub in the nation. So when you think about that, we've got a lot of suppliers, we have a lot of services to be able to help the employees get a haircut, go to the doctor, all of those services to be able to support the workforce that we have here in the county. Real estate right now is doing fairly well and continues to be strong in the county. What we've seen are a couple, the businesses that are hurting the most is the hospitality businesses, of course. But for the most part, we fared pretty well through COVID, comparative to other counties as well as other states. We've done well, but we know that there have been a couple of restaurants that have been adversely affected. So we try and work with them on different state programs, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, all different grants and funding that were available to help them. So what we do at the Center for Growth is that we have really a mission of 3 strategic initiatives. That's to attract and expand businesses here. So we work directly with them, the regional, state, and local municipalities to partner with any kind of incentives that we can offer those businesses as they grow and expand. So, for example, I just worked with Generac on the building that they purchased in the city of Pewaukee. 300 employees will remain here. They just bought that building, so they'll have a nice presence in Pewaukee, right along the expressway. They will invest $8 million into that building. Obviously, a lot more investment with all of that workforce that will actually be there, in addition to 300 employees. We were rivaling the state of North Carolina and Georgia for that win. So happy to say that we got it, but that's the type of thing that we do to help continue to support the businesses that we have here. That's a big business. We work with all businesses, small, large, and you're going to see a list in a second of some businesses that we help locally, but we're happy to help any business if they need it. We've got a wonderful team of business consultants who will literally sit with those businesses and help them walk through strategic planning, marketing, any kind of financial planning, look at access to capital, try and figure out how they can get funding, if they need a new piece of equipment, what's the way, how can they do that? Those types of ways. When we need a little bit of consulting, we're right there to help them. And then the last thing is the workforce. That's our greatest need in the county, is to help with the businesses who need the workforce. So we continue to work and partner with the educational system to be able to educate these students on what kind of career paths there are, and to stay here instead of going elsewhere. So understanding what manufacturing is, what kind of jobs, there's accounting, there's engineering, all the way through shop floor and custodial work or anything that they might be interested in. We're here to help guide them in that direction. So we've got a lot of different things going on in the county, a lot of different programs that we maintain. Next page, it's page 8, advancing business. As our tagline states, our goal is to advance business and growing communities. Diving a little deeper with that, advancing businesses, that business consulting, we've worked with over 280 different businesses right now in the county since the beginning of the year. So we've had our biggest year ever so far. So What that means is just not only that we're working with those businesses to help them grow and thrive and expand, but it means something to Big Bend because you have people who live here that might work in Waukesha or Menominee Falls or wherever else, and they come back here. Or they live there and come here to work, or they come here to have dinner or come to your festivals. So we look at this as a regional and county-wide initiative because we know that everybody works, lives, and plays throughout the county. So we're happy to provide those resources and continue that. We have a great loan fund that we were able to provide for gap financing for some businesses as well. So it's a revolving loan fund that the county we've put together and is very beneficial for those businesses that may need it. So the last thing would be the activity that we've had in Big Bend. That's the page that is important. The 2020 activity, we did a lot of work. That was at Tim Casey, my predecessor, who helped with some of the activity with the municipal work down here with the I-43 State 164 interchange area. And then happy to say that through some information that we just received probably about a month ago, is that through COVID 2020, we were able to help WEDC and state funding help 22 businesses in Big Bend receive funding from the state. So we offered letters of support and helped some of those businesses, but that was a total of $62,500 for those businesses to help them through COVID issues. So there is a list on the back page, which you can see those businesses and who they are and what kind of funding they got. But it's a really nice report to be able to show that the state stepped up to be able to help fund those businesses that needed some help with PPP or different things that they had going on. It's been great to work with Kelly. He was able to tour me around. We drove around and I saw the different areas, different things that we can work on that you may need help with as far as trying to attract different businesses and different offerings. So we also have an economic development roundtable throughout the county. So we have about 15 different municipal members that will come to that will be able to share what's going on in their communities, talk about housing, talk about transportation, talk about workforce, talk about retail, what's going on in the cities, what's going on Main Streets, who's doing what, how are we revitalizing things. So a lot of different activity, but it's great information sharing, and then we're also able to provide a lot of education through that. So this month we're bringing in a gentleman from the retail coach, and it's just to help any kind of businesses on the retail side to see how retail will be changing. Coming out of COVID, figuring out what does that look like over the next 10, 20 years, and what should these retail businesses be doing. So a lot of tips and trends and newsletters and information that we're trying to share with Kelly and the other economic development directors in the county to just help them be aware of what's changing and what might be needed in the municipalities. So we appreciate your partnership and we look forward to continuing this growth, expansion, and economic development in Big Bend. So do you have any questions for me?
Not at the moment.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Judy.
you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good
Yeah,
night.
thank you.
All right, moving along, item 7A, discussion, consideration, possible action on the emergency management plan for the village of Big Bend.
We were unable to meet
Right.
because we cannot make a quorum. And the plan is still up to state.
Okay.
Or the county, not state, the county.
Thank you. Item 7B, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding Cajun Fill site in general, as well as their conditional use grant update. I don't have any inspection reports from the last 2 weeks. Trust me, you guys are still watering and praying for rain every day.
Yeah.
It's about all you can do.
Well, if you,
I saw you got your notice of termination submitted today,
yes,
so that's good.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
No, that's not good.
Why?
That is not good. I'll leave it at that.
okay,
Well, you should probably disclose why.
This site is not complete yet.
Oh yeah, because of the vegetation not being fully.
Yes. This could,
could open up a can of worms.
absolutely. I think someone was advised not to do that.
We feel that the site is complete, the vegetation is over the 70%, which is what the DNR requires. The issue we've had is the drought. This is the second driest year that there's been on record since they started taking records. And the amount of area that we have, I believe we're 10 inches below average rainfall, and if you spread that over 30 acres, that's about 8 million gallons of water, that, rainwater that we didn't get this year, that normally we would get. So that makes a big impact on the grass. What happened is our grass went dormant, but it is growing again. We've had enough rain in the last few weeks, the last month, that the grass is coming up from the ground. So it's not dead, it's dormant, and it is sufficient coverage, I believe, and I think that unofficially Will had indicated to me also that, in his opinion, that it's well over 70%. So
That's not what the conversation was with Will Hine, myself, and you and your father. The conversation was you were not going to terminate that until we had significant growth. Well, it's going to come back on you guys. The village has been very good at trying to help you guys along through this. We told you guys not to terminate this. Just because you guys think it's 70% done, that's open to discussion. I don't think with the drought you have right now, I don't think that's a good,
Do we have another inspection plan? I would think next week maybe, I don't know.
yeah, Will told me he'd probably inspect 7th, 8th, 9th of this month. He's on vacation right now.
Right,
so.
yeah, I understand that. But we better hope for a bunch of rain.
We're forecasted for a chance this weekend. Chance? Yeah, chance.
So what you gotta understand is that there is some growth out there. But it's not enough that if we have a tremendous amount of rain, we're gonna have some big issues. That's why you should have never closed that out. And I think that was one of the things that Will had mentioned when we were in the discussion, the conditional use grant. Conditional use permit, that was not to be closed out.
Why do you think it's not enough?
It's not enough, John. I've been up there for, 8 years? There are areas that are bare. Part of the agreement was that you would not close out your notice of intent. You would not close that out. And we had that conversation with you, had the conversation with Sahak, we had it with the DNR people. I just think, in my opinion right now, that was the wrong thing to pull the trigger at this time. And I think the DNR is gonna have the same opinion on that, and I think that's gonna come back on us and you guys. I really do. I just talked to Will about this before he left to go on vacation last week, Thursday.
Well, unofficially, Wilhelm feels we have 70%.
My conversation with Will Hine was that he would be extremely irritated if the notice of intent was sent out or sent in order for your intent to close this down. And we had the discussion not to do this until you were, at about 90% vegetated.
We're at that.
No.
No ways.
Mm-mm.
You can see it from 164, you're not.
I got drone video of it. It's not.
I guess the discussion point is dormant vegetation considered ground cover or not? Because the roots are in place, the stalks are there, it filters the water as it runs, so in the winter time grass is dormant and we don't put mulch down or wood chips or anything else as erosion control, because the dormant grass is sufficient to provide the erosion control that's necessary.
No, it's because the ground is froze.
We've had both scenarios up there the last 2 winters. You've had the catastrophe of a rain/melt event that flooded everything, and you had a nice gentle thaw this year. You can't predict, and you need that grass.
If we had the opposite, it would have been perfect for us. If we had a drought when we were finishing up the site, and if we had heavy rain now, it would have been, the perfect scenario. But
All right, well, anyways, we're gonna move the agenda here.
all right,
They'll be out there to inspect next week, and we better hope and pray we're at closer to 80% by then. Because I guarantee you the ladies from the DNR will be out there too.
yeah, they've been notified, so even though the letter doesn't go to the ones that are involved with the site, I did let them know that it was sent in.
All right, we're gonna move along. We'll come back a little bit later with another item on the agenda for you. Item 7C, discussion, consideration, possible action referencing the Douglas Court Development Update. In your packet, you have a note, letter, report from Kapoor detailing the progress up there. There's been significant progress in the last 30 days, and everybody expects it to be done well in advance of the September 1st deadline. It's about 75% complete now.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks has been significant effort up there. It's been good to
I
see.
was up there Friday and looking at it. Major improvement.
Right.
So I would say,
No. It's something else now.
I would say no action.
There shouldn't be any action needed at this point. This is kind of a status
Right.
update, so.
Yeah. and-
Plus, if there was no traction, then we were gonna look at other steps.
Right.
So,
All right, item 8, new business. A, consideration and approval of following operators license applications. 1, Zanners Club Shamrock, Lori Tap, and Sawyer Duyarden.
First one's a renewal, second one's a new one, and they're both good to go. They go to public safety because we didn't have a quorum, as Michelle said earlier, so it's coming right to the board for approval.
I make a motion to approve the operator license applications for Lori and Sawyer.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the issue of the temporary Class B retailer's license for the Big Bend Vernon Lions Club event on September 11th, 2021. Chief?
Multiple year event, no issues that I see. There've never been any issues.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the temporary Class B retailer's license for the Bend Vernon Lions Club.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain. Item 8C, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for the event at Richie's on September 4th, 2021. In your packets, you have a note from the planner detailing the event that came before the planning commission 2 weeks ago. She's gonna have a small little event out there, and the planning commission recommended approval based on conversations with the police chief and the fire inspector. Have you had any conversations yet with Richie, your staff chief?
Not with Richie, I have with Mary, the planner. This event's still pretty similar, actually, I think it's gonna be smaller than the one we had on the parking lot last year. He's very cooperative, it's set up the same way as it was for the last year's one. I see no issue with September 12th, I'll make contact with him, or whatever, September 4th.
September 4th.
September 4th, sorry.
So that's Labor Day weekend.
So we'll meet with him probably next week.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve,
We're talking about other things.
event at Richie's, following the chief's recommendation.
And the other planners' recommendations?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8D, review, discussion, and possible approval of a conditional use grant supplemental agreement to be entered into with property owner / fill site operator John Cajun, capturing and memorializing his ongoing responsibilities at the Mass Fill site now that the conditional use grant period for the project has ended. The property is located at and surrounding South 72 West 23085 National Avenue, and it is Zone B3 General Business District. In your packets, you have a, you want me to read this?
I don't necessarily unless people need to be that required.
Basically, all this does is holds John responsible for making sure that the site continues to grow vegetation. He agreed to let us hold his surety bond until that time happens. And to continue to pay for inspections as normal.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him?
Okay,
Did you hear what he said?
no,
He's saying that extension for you to, for them to hold the bond and for you to assure that the grass will be, continue. What we need to do for the grass to grow.
I don't know, check that.
Anybody have any questions on it?
So this is just going in place to replace, this will replace the conditional use grant, because it expired?
Conditional use grant is expired. This is just an agreement between the village and John
Yep. Okay.
that we can continue holding his bond until the site is fully vegetated.
Got it.
I make a motion to approve the conditional use grant supplemental agreement.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You watch it. I'm gonna sign this and then John can sign it
You want me to sign it?
too. Oh,
Yeah.
You want me to
I'll say
sign it?
draft on it.
They want me to?
Yeah.
We'll leave it hard. Yeah, John wanted to sign his copy tonight. Now that it's approved.
I think we're gonna have to delay signing of the document because now
Okay.
that it's approved by the committee here. I think he has to have, his sense.
We'll email you a copy tomorrow.
I'm sorry?
We'll email you a copy tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be
They
fine.
got our bond, what's the
Yeah.
difference?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, we're not making an issue about holding the bond or anything like
Right.
that. It's just, we have to have someone look at the
Review it.
document.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Moving along, item 8E, review, discussion, and
You guys can
possible.
leave if you want. You guys could probably leave.
We can head up. We can head up.
Okay,
Have a good weekend.
thank
Hi,
you.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah. Pray for a gentle rain.
There you go, gentle rain, key word.
It'll rain tonight.
Item 8E, review
And the
discussion,
weekend too.
possible approval of a zoning code amendment modifying the list of conditional uses in the B1 Downtown Business District to include, quote, new and used automobile sales establishments, end quote, on specific and limited terms. A copy of the draft amendment to the ordinance. And this pertains to the old Two Brothers Muffler Brake Shop, which is now going to be, I don't know what his business name is, but owned by Zarate, Richard Zarate.
It's just gonna be Zarate's Auto Sales and Service.
Yeah, I think so. Just went through planning commission with all the verbiage on here.
Have a public hearing.
Yeah, we had a public hearing at the planning commission on it. He only wants to sell up to 15 cars. He thought it was gonna be more like 9 or 10.
He has some room.
Yeah, he's gonna repave everything there, and he's already started doing some maintenance work on the landscaping. I think the B1 Business District only covers five buildings.
Yeah, it's pretty restricted. That's what I figured, the risk was low as far as this spreading to.
Is he doing auto repairs there too?
Yes.
There'll be some service, that's what it used to be.
Yeah, right, but if he has 15 autos out there, you know, and if he repaired, is that gonna get pretty full out there?
Good, but he's gotta operate within parameters of how many spaces he has, so that's for him to juggle. If he's got too many cars in for service, that means he has less cars to sell on the lot.
You just don't want to turn it into a junkyard on the corner.
He had a former business down in, I believe, Third Event, fairly high-end car, yeah.
Yeah, he's been pretty successful.
Yeah, he was also on 10 acres there, wasn't he?
Yeah,
But yeah, I know he's.
I think it's gonna be a good improvement for that.
And he bought the residence next to it. He bought the property next to it, so,
To the east?
that would sell.
South.
Yeah. The east is, I think, the Peterson property.
Right. I thought I seen something in here, or is that another,
Believe
is that
it's-
another subject where
it'll
what he's
be-
gonna do in his?
Yeah, it'll be the next
Okay.
topic on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second. We've had discussion, call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think that action essentially was to approve that ordinance.
Correct.
So, I don't know what number was put on, but I guess what I remember, we should just reflect in the minutes that that ordinance was approved.
You got that for the minutes? The ordinance number.
Figure out the ordinance numbers?
Yeah, just to put that in the minutes.
What was that?
Probably, that sounds about right, but
Yeah, I think 6 was the one that we looked at.
That's the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah. I would just, I guess, just emphasizing to have the motion reflect that that ordinance was actually adopted, rather than just the recommendation to change it. Because I think we need that before we can consider the conditional
amendment.
use. Yeah, on the next one.
great. 8F, review, discussion, and possible approval of a conditional use grant amendment as requested by applicant Richard Zarate to add the use automobile sales to the existing auto service conditional use that is still in effect at this site building. The property is located at South 91, West 22945 Milwaukee Avenue, And the property owner is TAA Incorporated. This .3128 acre property is Zone B1 Downtown Business District.
So I assume he's knocking down the house to the south? No.
Nope.
That, I see he
You got a
has,
site plan on here, yeah.
I see that it kind of extends down there.
No, it's his lot line.
No, that's-
Where he's got a proposed fence. He originally was gonna put a fence there because of that residential property to try to shield it. And he bought it, so he's not as worried about it anymore, because now it's his property. But he has not expressed any plans to knock down it or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8G, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding no parking sign on 164 on the roads. Yeah, there it is, no parking Sunday 7 a.m. to 12 p.m.
This came through Public Works, and we recommended that it be taken down. It was basically put up there because it was a
For church.
church, and now it's a residence, so there's really no need for it anymore.
Right. Yeah, no, obviously in the beginning, there was discussion on whether or not that property be used again as a church, but with it being sold to be residential, that's obviously changed, so
Yeah.
I don't see any need to have it.
I would ask that there would be all the no parking signs on that street. There's more than one, there's 3 or 4 of them. It pertains to exactly the same.
3 at the most.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Since
They
I
gave them all.
lived down there and seen them all my life, so
You wanna park there on Sunday mornings?
it don't bother me. I mean, that's the only reason why I was there, because it was, for a while, when the church was the Baptist church, it was bad. I mean, you'd have cars on both sides and you couldn't get through.
I will make a motion that we remove the signs for no parking on 164 on the roads.
Site again goes east of 164, right?
Correct.
Right,
All the signs that you say?
On Rose Avenue between
Yeah.
Jackson and 164.
right.
Thank you.
I'll second
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Alright,
Opposed?
Jamie.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying,
What?
you're opposed, sorry. I'm joking.
Motion carries. Item 8H, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding backup generator for Village Hall. Using some of the ARPA money. In your packet, you have some quotes from, I don't remember the date on here.
November of 20, is that still accurate? In current state of the world? That seems a little dated.
We have November 20 on here.
Second page, top left, proposal date.
Oh, there, yep.
So when I talked to the rep today, he says it anywhere from 5 to 15% increase, but because this is a very common item, he didn't see that their stuff had gone up that much.
This has been through Public Safety, I believe,
it. And Public Works.
and Public Works. And was there a recommendation from Public Works
We recommend to approve and send it to the board.
for any specific model or?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's 4 options.
4 options
Plus
here.
a fifth for some extra.
And I think in talking to Eric at some point, we were gonna go natural gas because it's easier and generally quieter, cleaner. Any other options that we want and or need?
Do you remember off the top of your head which one it was?
This is what I'd like to do. We were trying to get this through, so at least we could sit down and talk with the gentleman. But one of the things that's key is for us, since we're gonna put it outside there, put a remote battery in the fire bay there and that thing on the wall. You have the natural gas right there. So the big thing was to get this going so that we can at least, get a number hammered out on exactly what we're gonna do. You're gonna need the transfer switch, is that when the power does go out, it automatically kicks on. And automatically when it's got power to it, it shuts it off.
So then that means you're pushing for option 1 through 4, not 5, if you're requiring the transfer switch.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So that means if you're saying that the solution you're looking for is requiring the transfer switch, then that's options 1 through 4.
Yes.
The larger
Yeah.
units, because the smaller units don't require the
Right.
transfer switch. Okay.
No, we have them quote smaller units, I believe, for DPW and for Firehouse too, in
Yeah.
case we needed them.
Gotcha.
Which I guess those could still be on the table at some
The
point.
main thing is to get this
Right,
totally powered
we're
off.
focusing on the one for Village Hall because that's continuance of government.
Do
We're
you-
allowed to do that.
Do you know how much we could get out of the ARPA?
I know, not off the top of my head, but I do know roughly how much we are getting or we have gotten.
Well, okay, so if we went option 4 and we're talking of an approval of, 24 plus the transfer switch, you're talking the solution is pushing almost 30K.
Mhm.
So how much of it are we gonna get? How much can be funded through that?
100%.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at, is this something that's partially budgeted or not? Or okay.
No, this is
Good.
strictly funded by the ARPA
Good.
funds.
You're recommending the natural gas?
I'm sorry, what?
You're recommending the natural gas, not the diesel unit, correct?
Right. So the big thing is to have the guy come here and
Anybody cut, I didn't get a cut.
is at least sit down and find out exactly what we need. Come back here and tell you exactly what the dollar amount is gonna be. From the installation to everything, so it's basically turnkey operation.
So then, or is this just more presenting of information and not an action tonight then? Because, it doesn't sound like we have enough data to really make an action tonight.
So without, this village has a bad habit of crying wolf and having people come in and give estimates and no action ever happening, okay? So what this needs to be done is basically give us the okay to go ahead and solicit this, that we are gonna do something. We need to come back with some, very, numbers that are locked in concrete basically. Because you're gonna have installation of it too.
Right.
Yes, we need turnkey
Yeah.
numbers to
Right.
move forward. And I think we look at the natural gas unit and come back to us with option 1 or 3 on why we should choose
One
the
versus
60
other.
versus the 70 and what the cost would be.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for you guys to say okay so that we can make things happen.
This is something that public safety has been now for almost 2 years saying we need to do, we need to do, we need to do. We have the money to do it through the ARPA, so let's move forward and get the quote for option 1 or 3 based on what we feel is best for the village as a turnkey model.
Derek, when you do that, please make sure that there's a current relay station that actually runs off generator that's on the wall there. Have them look at that in case something needs to be modified or removed.
There's a lot of things that gotta get modified. Just so you guys know, we're gonna be moving the signal antenna for the siren. That's gotta get mounted outside. So I'll talk to you guys about that later, but it's gotta be mounted inside. Outside, I talked to the guy at the tower numerous times, we've had it not go off. And sent him pictures and
That's because, that's a discussion for you and I, but I can tell you that's still on a crystal system. We need to that needs
well,
to be
they're putting a
updated.
different repeater in over here, so anyway. So yes, with this system, we'll go big enough that it covers everything, turnkey. The thing is, if we have the battery on the inside of the building, it's not trying to start if it's cold.
Right.
It's a warm battery, so.
So yes, please bring back to the board turnkey for,
So before the next, so what I will do is I will email everybody. We're not just dealing with one company, there's 3 that I've been talking to. We'll get you the nuts and bolts on all 3 of them.
Perfect.
So I'll email to all of you.
Just make sure it's the comparison quote, like.
Apples to
it's-
apples.
Yes.
Yep.
That's for options 1 and 3.
It's a natural gas unit.
Well,
Same
similar to
wattage.
1 and 3, I mean,
Yeah, it could be slightly
I don't know
different.
if we know exactly what the KW we need is,
Right.
but they'll tell us.
And then make sure you include in that cost, what Jamie's talking about, in case there's a cost there to do anything there.
Because half of the building already is, half of the building is on that circuit, where we can run half of the building on the generator already.
Yeah, that'll be history.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it needs to make sure you look at that.
So get all the information.
I've got most of it. Unfortunately, I was busy today. Couldn't get everything for that put together, but there is conversation going on. I just want to go up and get the okay to
Yeah, bring it back and
pretty much drag us on a file leg of the road.
We just wanted everybody aware of the cost roughly.
as long as it's 100%, I mean, I think it's.
Yeah, if it's
outright.
covered, yeah, it makes it really easy. So we just gotta make sure we get the right solution.
Replacing that control box.
Okay, so, do we need a motion to authorize Eric to pursue, or?
I don't think so. I mean, we
Okay.
don't necessarily, not for something like that. He's just doing
Right.
information gathering.
House budget? No, yeah.
Very good. No action. Item 8I, discussion consideration, possible approval for a Phase 2 water study for the tax incremental district. In your packet, you have 2 quotations, one from Collier Geophysics and the other one from Gibson Enterprises. You will notice the price difference is drastic between the two. And even with the price difference being as drastic as it is, neither one of them gives you a 100% guarantee of hitting water.
Why is such a big difference? That's a big difference between 16 and 52.
We asked, I didn't get a very straight answer. Best of my guess is one company is renting equipment and another company already owns equipment or has a better way to do the same thing.
Well,
Collier's been around forever.
right, so one of the differences here too is that we're looking for water in the 500 foot and above range. And with the other company, it's 500 down to 1600. 1600 feet will give us radium in the water, which you're gonna need to treat. I fully believe in this area that we have plenty of water.
Not right now.
Well, we still do.
Yeah.
So I fully believe we've still got a good amount of water. The problem we had with one of the issues was the last company we had in here is we could not control the drilling and we couldn't control the pumping because we hired them, but they were running everything themselves. And I think if we do some of that and call some of the shots ourselves, I think we're better off. But I looked over both of those. I know that Will did too. And I think if you look at them, you're basically getting 3 swings of the bat for what 1 swing of the bat is. We have to put in a well that's 2,000 feet deep. We're talking well over $1 million.
Well, have there been any studies up there of where the water table may be?
Well, if you look on Collier's and on the other one, they have, I don't know, do they show I think on Collier's they've got some lines and stuff that they've done work in this area before.
But even I think that when Tony was researching this, didn't he come up with some basic information from the internet?
Yeah, I mean, we went through this.
Has he looked at that, Tony? Because he's pretty sharp with this stuff.
But one of the problems was too is that in that whole area, we were given, 300 feet by 300 feet to put this thing, and that was it. And I don't know what you guys have or what's been worked out with any stuff up there, but I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, you need to have a bigger area to find water there. Limiting it to such a small area is not
Yeah, but
good.
where they drilled, based on what they had found and surveyed, there should have been water.
There was water, just not the suitable supply for the volume we would need. There was water, they got water coming out.
I
It
know,
just
good.
wasn't the volume we needed as far as
Right.
gallons per minute. Right.
All good with doing this, I just don't wanna throw another few dollars down the pit, because.
That was the reason we were taking this approach as opposed to what happened the first time, where it was, like I said, there was a depiction on the overall image of, hey, this is where the well should go, and it had no education necessarily around it or research of, hey, that's the optimal place. It was like, no, that looks like a good spot, so that's where they drilled, as opposed to asking the question like, hey, is that the optimal spot? Should we do some more homework? That's what we're doing, that's what this is.
Yeah, and that's,
Unfortunately, we're doing it after the fact.
absolutely, and like we say, we gotta control this, not let somebody else control it, which shouldn't happen in the first place, but we're past.
Kelly and I have had some talks with Town Realty or Zilber.
Zilber.
They're pretty much receptive to us looking at the whole land up there.
Well,
You know, and
it's
Yeah, there's
our,
flexibility.
wherever the water is, it is.
it's
and they'll
it's our
adjust.
well, so yeah, well, we need to dictate where it's gonna be, where the tower is.
It's gonna go wherever it's optimal to get the volume we need, right?
Right.
And then they'll plan, their plan, the development plan will shift, right? If the pocket is in the middle, if it's, you know, it is what it is, they move a building, whatever, you know, they're
So we're gonna
obviously a lot of
basically kind
flexibility.
of grow in that same development
Well,
area.
this isn't drilling,
This
this is
is
just a
surveying.
geophysical
Yeah.
study.
This is phase 2, which is a bunch of, like, bouncing a bunch of imagery down to try to see where these pockets of water are, to get a better
And we didn't
educated
do
guess.
any of that previously.
No,
That's why we have.
no, Suez just came in and slapped up a rig and drilled in the general vicinity of where they were told to drill.
Yeah.
Hasn't this area been surveyed before where the water's at? There's a geologist I run into occasionally up at the McDonald's of all places, and
There's a few studies online that you can read and, you know, look and see roughly where it is. Now, you know, obviously those things shift a little bit from time to time and the depths vary a little. But this is what they're gonna try and do is pinpoint exactly where the best two shots are and then take the best educated guess after that.
Remember, this is phase 2, right? So the initial thing we did was, hey, pop a hole, drill, see what happens. Obviously, it didn't turn out real well. We saw water, just not the volume we needed. So then we came back to the drawing board and said, let's take the right approach at this. We did phase 1, which was the desktop study, which involved looking over history of all of the wells in the area. What do we know about the geographical area around this interchange, and where would potentially the best source of water be based on that data? So it's a pure data analysis. That already occurred. That was phase 1. That led us to this, which is phase 2, saying, hey, based on what they've learned, they're going to target. That's where they came up with these lines. This is what we'll do, is we'll target this area, thinking it's our best shot for a real source of water.
And what's the name of the company that did our desktop?
That was still Suez, or it was Jeff Gibson. Was he separate at that time?
No, Jeff Gibson did the desktop, Suez did the test well.
That's what it was, yeah. Yeah. So Jeff Gibson was the one that did the desktop study to do all the, so to speak, the data analysis. So now that led to this, which is phase 2, to do this sonar and geothermal bouncing through the various striations of the soil to determine what indeed is below grade, which will then lead to optimal spot 1 to drop another test hole, basically.
And they feel that area right there is the best area to drill.
That's
Or
what
it's
they're telling
not.
us, yep.
And that's where we did the first.
Close.
Well, they're not gonna drill right there.
Yeah.
They're gonna go out and do their geophysics.
Yeah.
And after that, then they'll come up with areas that they think are highly suitable for, you know, dropping a well.
Yeah, the drilling was like over here.
My
I'm not
only,
understanding why there's such a big difference.
well, I'm thinking this is
On the
what's gonna
poles?
lead to it is, Collier's quoting going down to about 400 feet, they say.
Yeah.
And they're gonna mainly focus 150 to 250. I personally don't think that's gonna work in
It
that
might not
area.
be deep enough. I
I
mean,
mean,
remember when we pushed through on Suez, we told them to go to bedrock. We approved the extra money to take it to bedrock to assess, hey,
Yeah, and they
might as
ended
well
up
go all the way.
on, what, 550, 560
Yeah.
before they hit.
Mhm.
Jeff
Remember,
Gibson-
water's like a vein of gold. You could be off by 10, 15 feet.
I know.
It could be huge.
Jeff's quoting going anywhere from 30 to 3,600 feet.
Yeah, because he was exploring deep well. Up to,
We don't necessarily need that.
we don't know.
Well, we know we don't need 3,600 feet.
Yeah. One would assume, yeah.
But I mean, you get places in the village where you get 600 gallons a minute just bubbling out of the ground.
Yeah, why don't you just tap a hole into a couple of them, run a few pipes up there, and you're set.
If Ralph still owned his house, I would.
That's right. You got one on Artesian, you got one out over here.
We can run it off of Ralph's, huh?
Yeah,
Right.
Oh yeah, God, when Ralph's went, it was like a geyser. Yeah.
So you have any knowledge of this up here? Jamie is living around here and stuff, as far as thoughts on?
My concern is, and to be honest with everyone, is that not limiting yourself to that one corner, and looking at all, looking at the other corners as well.
No, that's what we discussed with Silver, is give them the whole 300 or 200, whatever acres.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, you're gonna hit water, it's just gonna be a matter, like Eric said, it's gonna be like a gold vein. And when you do, you're either gonna get a bubbly or you're gonna get a geyser. So.
You know, the village also goes up the town line up there, and that's owned by the ball.
That was part of desktop one, or the desktop study. There was discussion that that'd be a potential spot too.
Did you avoid at all did you guys talk about the chicken farm?
As far as,
The location of where the well, you're potentially talking about the well?
no,
It did come up once.
yeah.
What do you
I think you brought it, either you or Will brought it up.
There used to be a chicken farm up there, and I mean chickens, not little chickens, lots of chickens.
Where at?
Just behind the barn, up on that parcel.
Right behind the parking garage.
Off of
Or
Woodland.
the parking.
Off of Woodland. Probably some of those structures underneath are still there. And they'll have to deal with in construction, but it might be an area you may just want to keep in the back of your mind. Other than that, for the most part, everything there is farmland, and it's always been farmland up there. Might be anything, I mean, I can't think of anything else that was up there besides the chicken farm.
So we were able to locate where the chicken farm was, and there was a cistern there at one time. But the municipal wells versus residential wells are night and day difference. That's where our problem comes in. If we want to just do a regular well, we can have a well that does 60 gallons a minute. That's not what we're looking at. And everything on the casing's got to have bentonite around it and everything else.
Yeah, we need major flow rate.
And this study's gonna get us,
Just gonna get us a proposed position to put a test well, which will be phase 3 will be some test borings to confirm that there's actually water there before they come in and drop a big well.
So how many lines does Gibson put in? Like, Collier puts in 3.
They're just giving you a rough estimate of where they're gonna be. What they do is they're gonna have to come in the fall when the crops are gone, and they lay out this big electronic field.
Right, but they're saying that they're gonna drop 3 lines down. How many is Gibson dropping down?
A lot of the stuff for Gibson is tabletop work, not the actual work on site.
No, because their stuff, I mean,
Yeah, no,
they're,
he's got
they want
survey and
field
geophysical
crew.
equipment out doing the netting.
Mhm.
Because you can, as Warren said, I think that's part of the cost discrepancy. You can see
Stations
right
are-
in here, it says rental
Stations are
and shipping.
250 feet or less. It's either gonna be moving a whole lot of equipment around, or
Yeah,
it's gonna
2
have a-
stations at a time, if the station intervals are 250 or less, and 1 if it's larger, based on the modeling. So it sounds like they'd be doing a little bit of testing to determine what would be best.
is this the Gibson we were working with
Yes.
before?
Yeah, he was the one that was originally part of the project, yeah.
But then Collier's gonna do 3 initial lines at 1,800 feet long.
Correct. Yeah, but see in the detail where it says like the geophysical equipment rental plus the shipping, I mean, that's $11,000 of that money right there from the Gibson side. And then they are projecting more days cost-wise related to data processing and interpretation, so.
They have,
It's 3 times the cost.
Collier has a 2-person crew and they have a 3-person crew.
Yeah. So I think that's why you're seeing.
Well, I
such a
think
big
Collier
difference.
probably has in-house employees and Jeff might be hiring out
So-
some hired guns.
That's just too big of a cost difference.
Yeah.
Collier's a reputable company and they, you know, you send out for competitive bids, we're supposed to go with the lowest competent bid.
It
Or
gives them
competent
pretty much
contractor.
unknown, because he just started his own.
But he came from that prior company where
He
he's
was
got
absolutely-
history.
Yeah.
He went out on his own, basically.
And where's the money coming from this?
The ARPA money.
So that's the same as the generator?
What's the total that we have in that pool?
Right now, 76, I believe.
Okay. Is there anything else slated for it?
Nothing yet.
How many days is the Collier study?
It looks like it's, I just saw that. You guys see that?
I saw additional days, I didn't see days.
That's the
Down below,
estimated
estimated
1.5
1.5 day.
There is, I know a geologist. Study that they associate this area with water up there.
So it's navigable by a pickup truck?
This is where the geos up in that area.
No.
As long as it's not a Fort Reed.
This area.
Is he worth talking to?
We'll send Chief up there to drive
I
around.
can't think of his name right now. He was,
We're unsure that it's navigable by a pickup truck.
Sure, we'll try.
Take the new squad. Off-road a little bit. Wait until it rains a little, get some mud.
I was just talking to Mike about this here, where he knows a guy that did some study up there. Would it be worth seeing if he would come in and talk to us about what he found up there?
I don't think it would be a dumb idea.
No.
We do have a little time on this, because there's still crops in the ground, but we would definitely have to approve something at the September meeting. Because this is, they got a very short window of opportunity between clear ground.
Is there one more bid we could get?
No. Applied Technologies obtained the bids for us, and the other 2 companies that he asked to bid, no quoted.
No quoted because why?
I didn't ask.
It could be they're too busy, it could be, wasn't there a cup of tea, or
Because they don't think there's water.
Oh, there's water.
don't be negative, Michelle, come on.
I'm asking the question. I'm not asking, no question is a dumb question. Hello, have you heard that quote before?
Well, let's see if Mike can talk
I'll
to
get the
us.
name up and get it to him, give him a call.
Give him a call and see if we can get him in here.
It would
See
just be
what his
nice.
study brought up,
Tell him
he had
what-
studied this area, I think, for his.
They should have 4, so
school.
2 didn't.
So can we try to get one more that at least?
Sure, do you
give
know
us-
of any companies that do this? I don't.
Yeah.
I relied on one of our village engineers to go out and do this, and he's got 2 no quotes. I mean,
Wasn't from the
that's
state
what they do
design.
for a
Can
living.
you ask him why there's no quote from them?
I can Monday when he comes back from vacation.
Does Waukesha County have any thoughts on this?
Well, I'm
Background.
thinking all about this, yeah. I mean, first off, I think there's like around 144,000 for ARPA funding, but I don't know if that's changed. That was the original number for
It
big.
went up slightly.
Okay, okay. So at least it's, somewhere around that range. As far, I was just thinking, I've seen this a lot, there's a lot of no quotes because people are just way too busy. They're either too busy, it's not their cup of tea, they've got other stuff going on. And my fear is if you don't decide on something, and you wait till September, they might not be able to do it
Right.
because they're booked. I mean, so I would just suggest that you could maybe ask, what the deadline date is to be able to find, to be able to acknowledge that you're gonna accept a quote to when they could actually get it done, but I think September is pushing it.
Has the county done any kind of studies at all as far as water in the county? And
I'm newer, so I'm not aware of what they've done. I believe it's all, most of it's contracted out.
She's with the Center for Growth.
Yeah,
She's
not
with-
Waukesha.
Yeah, I'm not with the county, but
I'm just.
I know that they have,
Picking her brain.
yep, no, I appreciate that. I wish I had an answer.
I mean, I would be okay with moving forward with Collier Geophysics, I just wonder if we're missing something. Or is this like, are we being underbid and we're gonna have to go with a better study anyways? Going with Gibson, I mean, it says that we can, pay up to $8,000 for an additional day and more lines.
And we may end up having to do that. He may not find anything the first day and a half where he puts the lines down.
Right.
I would think he would, because he has the phase one studies, he has a really good idea of where, within a triangle of the best shot to hit water is at a reasonable depth.
And the fact that he's using his own company versus having to rent and,
So has he studied this area at all before? Or have any idea? Done any work up there before?
Collier? I don't know that he's done anything right there, but they're a huge company.
Yeah. And again, they're
They're
working
massive
off,
engineering.
working off phase one, which was specific data analysis of that area. So both parties are working off that data to get at this, phase two.
I mean, I think the resources behind Collier are infinitely larger than what Gibson Enterprises has. I mean, you're talking a one or a two-man show with Gibson.
Should be some information out there because the fellow I know, he studied at Marquette and there was an extensive survey done through Waukesha County.
Yeah, Tony brought that up. I don't know if it was here or at a planning meeting. but-
No, it was here. He went out and looked at it and.
I think if you could connect that guy with this guy from Collier, and that's who person really needs to talk to.
I mean, we want to get it done. If we're in a time crunch, we got the money to do it. It's not really gonna cost us anything.
Well,
I mean, it is, yes, but it's a step to start moving. If we want to develop that up there, we need to move on.
Yeah, we're waiting on the output of this in the next phase to get us to that step at the table with the developer agreement with Zilbert. This has to be done.
So what is the next phase when we start dropping wells?
yep,
Test wells.
test borings.
Yeah,
Test
test
well.
boring before a test well.
Kelly, was sewer pack involved at all? I just recall something. like
High
that.
level, there was initial discussion, but didn't necessarily go there, because there was a thought that we could go after some money through that. But at the time, the focus was due to COVID, the higher candidates or the more likely awarding of the money would go to those, the more severe impact from COVID. So we kind of backed off when we were talking with Tim and through the discussion, it seemed like if they have 4 people telling a story of why they need infrastructure money for something like this, the ones that have the large COVID impact are gonna get it because of the sensitivity of that in the world today. So that's when it was decided, hey, is it worth all of that effort to try to maybe get at that table? And there's no guarantee, it could take months to do that because of the process, so.
Even if Collier has to add on additional days, we pay them for a full week, you're still a little bit under, where Gibson is thinking that it might take a week to do.
One other kind of just something to think about, if you're gonna do a generator, there's not enough money there to do both with Gibson's proposal.
But there is with Collier's.
Correct. And with a few
But
extra
that's
days.
if Collier can get it done in 1.5 days.
Even if it takes them 3 days, we still have enough. We can more than double their quote and still have enough from our first ARPA check to cover all of that.
like the coaching. Do we
No, I'll
need
make the motion to move ahead
with Collier?
with Collier on a phase 2 water study.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8J, discussion, consideration, and possible approval for American Fireworks user application permit. Oh, that's just Philly's feature too.
That's where they're doing the,
Oh, they're gonna blow them off up there? Okay.
That's what the shoot is.
Yeah.
Is this a demo shoot or the public thing?
No, this is a celebration of life for Vince.
Like, minute,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Chief Ludwig, do you know, anything about this? See that? Thank you. We're on to item J, 8J, the fireworks permit for American Fireworks for the Celebration of Life. Has
Yes,
the department
Yes.
gone over the site and it's all good?
yes, we've had fireworks shows there before. They do take, American Fireworks does take extra care in regards to their displays and stuff. We will be up there as well. We will have a truck available, or our grass rig up there, available for the show as well. So,
Okay.
The last show was probably, what, 3-4 years ago?
I think about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it and
Yep.
did all that.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fireworks user application permit for American Fireworks.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, discussion, consideration, and possible action for the police chief working agreement. Finance and personnel wanted to table that until they got a little more information. No action there. Discussion, consideration, and possible action for the fire chief working agreement, same situation there. It's not in here. Item M, discussion, consideration, and possible action for assessment and reevaluation contracts.
So we have to get reevaluated?
Yes, we've fallen below the 0.9 taxation level for the village. So we have to reassess.
And our last reassessment? was
They said our last reassessment was 2009, really?
That's probably.
Supposed to be done every 10 years, they said, so we need to budget for this, they're gonna reassess in 2023, but we have to budget for it this coming year. So Laura went out and got a couple of bids, and finance and personnel recommended that we stay with Associated Appraisers, I believe it.
Yes.
The prices were nearly identical once you figured in postage and envelopes and all of that baloney that we'd have to supply.
We volunteer Eric to lick stamps, so.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you leave.
Yeah.
So finance and personnel recommended staying with our existing appraiser. The cost was it 44,000?
44,400 for the exterior viewing reevaluation, which is what
And they said-
is recommended.
They said that would be fine for a reassessment.
Might not be budgeted for next year to get that.
We have to budget 50% for next year.
Over 2 years,
Got
yeah.
it, got it.
And then there's a maintenance agreement where we pay that every year for 5 years. They will do a virtual reassessment in 5 years based on market modeling and all of that, and that'll carry us through. So we'll be good for 15 years, and that virtual reassessment is, I think, $8,000.
Something big.
100, whatever it was. We don't have to worry about that. That we can pay by the year for 5 years.
I make a motion that we move forward with the assessment and revaluation contract with Associated Appraisal Consultants for the exterior viewing.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We'll return my phone call now. Called a month and a half ago.
Item 8N, discussion, consideration, and possible action for increase of wages for school crossing guard. I understand you're trying to break the budget here, sir.
$5 whole an hour, 1 hour per day for whatever the school year is, 160 days. Here's my accountant over there.
That comes on the police budget anyway, right?
50% comes out of my budget, 50% comes out of Vernon.
Also, it's only $2.50 an hour.
True, for us.
Right.
We lost the crossing guard that we had for this past year. She resigned. Even though we're trying to talk her back into it. I just think it might be a little easier to get somebody if it was $15 a day, so it'll be $20 a day. Half hour in the morning, half hour in the afternoon. If you know anybody who wants to be a crossing guard.
Finance and personnel recommended the raise.
A nice retired guy that lives near the village.
That's
And
grandkids.
has grandkids that go to school there, would be the perfect candidate. So if you know anybody like
I don't
that,
know anybody like that.
In fact, I think the guy's even got a good coffee hookup.
As long as this blinker's working.
It does. I'm already out.
then we can pass the background. But on a serious note, if anybody knows anybody,
So we make a motion for Jeff to take the position.
At the increased wage,
hunting money, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the increase.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8O. Discussion, consideration, and possible action for village health insurance. Finance and personnel went over this, and this information's kind of outdated and not really accurate, I don't think. So we're gonna ask the clerk to have R&R come in and pitch us a little better proposal than what's here.
What's outdated about it, considering it has a date of recent?
I'm looking at option
Hold
two.
on.
Option 2, the HSA,
Mm-hmm.
is almost triple what it should be for employee and children. The deductibles aren't right, the max out-of-pockets aren't right,
Okay, I got you.
you know, all of that. I know they have a lot more offerings because we use R&R at my work too. And I know there's also municipal insurance available through R&R, through the League of Municipalities. So they didn't really present us with all of the available options, but they didn't sit down with us either. I think this is just something Kelly and Laura asked them to throw together.
Yeah, get them in here, make them work for it a little bit.
Elena's gonna send out probably an email to all of our full-time people, asking them if they would accept it and what they would want, whether it's just employee and spouse, employee and children, or family. You'll have 4 choices.
And their spouses are offered insurance.
I wrote that down.
Yeah. So we'll have
There's a surcharge normally for skeletal insurance if they're offered insurance elsewhere.
some places. So we're gonna table this for right now until we get more information.
So you need a motion to table? No,
We can just do a no action.
no action. Okay.
And finally, item 8P, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a TAPCO quote for 2 blinker signs for Highway 164 Clark Street, Big Bend Elementary School. Chief, I'll let you speak to this again.
This is for 2 blinker signs, or actually beacon signs. We're gonna go with blinker signs, and you can't do blinker signs on state highways. So we got beacon signs now for, which will go over the speed limit signs, one southbound, one northbound on 164. Obviously to increase awareness at a school for school crossing. There were multiple close calls this past year. The county already put up 8 pedestrian crossing, school crossing signs on the poles at the intersection. They're slated to get new painted lines. The 3rd week of August, Eric was saying earlier, this would be another enhancement for the safety of the kids, and while Jeff's working as a crossing guard. The total cost, when we started talking about this, since the school's actually obviously in Vernon, it's a school property, a school issue, but it's in Vernon, and half of our kids go there also, and from Big Bend. So my idea was to try and split this between Vernon, us, and the school district. The school district already approved 1/3 of the original quote without the service contract, which we just got this afternoon, and the new numbers this afternoon. The total for everything in a 3-year service contract would be $8,364.80. If you divide that between the school, us, and if Vernon goes along with it, it would be just about $2,800 per group. And I believe it says somewhere in here it should be able to get done in a month. So probably right after school started. Maybe we can get everybody, maybe we can get Vernon on board fast enough. So if somebody who has contacts at Vernon can
Do that.
Karen Shu's already aware of it and stuff. So we just gotta talk to her and see if she can get it in front of her board right away.
Yep.
Finance made the approval to the board to approve $2,800 for them to try to move forward and work this deal out with the school and Vernon. So my motion is that we allow them to, our police department and DPW to have $2,800 to get these beacons installed.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, correspondence. Anything? Outstanding. Item 10, public comments.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
We got first.
Oh, okay, it's got my, enjoy the fair or whatever.
Will do. I'm gonna give it to you like this, because now it's just mine.
Make it less weird.
That's why I was confused. Because it said you can't use a blinker
Oh my God.
on a state or federal. I thought it was
You're out the blinker.
Here,
in your car?
everywhere.
I'm used to it, and I
She would keep it.
get too pissed off.
So it's okay.
You wouldn't be the first one.
Yeah, I've taken Yeti,
Which ended up in. That makes sense.
quite a bit of hiking, like Athens Peak,
Crossing it.
Saturday. But like, we were
How did
crossing
that
trail
work
at